The contract that changed his life. Jake was tired of living alone. He had been on Mars for 3 years now. Life on the colony was quiet, boring, and lonely. Every day was the same. Work in the mining unit, eat the same dry food, and go home to an empty room. One night, while scrolling through his tablet, Jake saw an ad. Want help at home? Tired of boring life? Try the all-new personal assistant program. One-time sign-up. No fees. Instant delivery. Jake laughed. Sounds too good to be true, he said, but he clicked the link anyway. The contract was long. Too many words. Jake didn't feel like reading it all. He scrolled fast to the bottom and pressed agree in CONFIRM. He leaned back and yawned. Let's see if anything happens, he said, half joking. Then he went to bed. The next morning, someone knocked on his door. Knock. 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 Jake rubbed his eyes. Who could that be? He opened the door and froze. Standing in front of him was a tall alien woman, glowing faint blue, with silver markings on her skin. Her eyes were large and purple, with no pupils. Her hair floated around her head like it was underwater. She wore something like armor, but light and shining. She bowed deeply and said, Greetings. I am Vesha. I am yours now. I belong to you. Jake's mouth dropped open. What the? She stepped into his small room without waiting. She looked around and then nodded. Small, simple, but safe. Jake backed up. Wait, who are you? What are you doing here? Vesha turned to him calmly. You signed the bond contract. I was chosen for you. I am your servant now. Jake scratched his head. Wait a second. I thought I was signing up for a digital assistant. Like a robot. Or an app. Not you. Vesha tilted her head. I am not a machine. I am a warrior of the Xilari. Trained, enhanced, and bonded for service. You are my bonded human. This bond cannot be broken. Jake sat down slowly. This is insane. Vesha stood still, her eyes never leaving him. Do you wish to test my skills? Skills? No. I just want to know what's going on. She blinked. Understood. Then I will begin observation. She sat on the floor, cross-legged, and closed her eyes. Jake stared at her. So, you're just going to sit there? Yes, she said, until you give an order or danger arrives. Jake laughed nervously. What kind of danger are you expecting? Vesha opened one eye. You have no idea what you signed, do you? No, Jake admitted. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept looking at Vesha. She sat like a statue, silent, not moving. Not even breathing, it seemed. At 2 a.m., something strange happened. Vesha suddenly stood up. Danger, she whispered. Jake jumped. What? What danger? Stay inside, she said. She touched a crystal on her arm and vanished in a flash of light. Jake ran to the window. Outside, in the distance, he saw shadows, dark figures moving quickly. Then bright lights flashed. Energy beams. Explosions. Seconds later, Vesha returned. She was breathing hard, but smiling. Threat removed, she said. Jake's heart pounded. What were they? Who were they? Hunters, she said. They tracked the bond signal. They wanted to kill you and claim me. Jake felt cold. I just wanted a helper, he whispered. Vesha looked at him with serious eyes. You have one. But I am more than that. And now, your life is not boring anymore. Jake didn't know what to say. His world had changed overnight. From a lonely miner to the bonded partner of a strange alien warrior. He didn't understand the contract. He didn't understand the rules. But he understood one thing clearly now. This was not a simple mistake. This was the start of something big. A servant who doesn't obey. The next morning, Jake woke up feeling confused. Was it a dream? He turned his head and saw Vesha sitting silently near the door, her eyes wide open and glowing faint purple. No, it wasn't a dream. She was still here, still real. Jake groaned. Okay. Good morning, alien lady. Vesha stood and nodded. Good morning, bonded one. Please stop calling me that, Jake said, rubbing his forehead. Just call me Jake. As you wish, she replied. He sighed and stood up. Look, since you're going to be here, can you do something useful? Vesha tilted her head. What do you require? Clean up the place, Jake said, pointing at the mess. I've got dirty dishes, dusty shelves, and trash everywhere. You're a servant, right? But Vesha didn't move. Jake frowned. Did you hear me? I heard, she said calmly, but I do not clean. What? You're my servant, aren't you? You said you belong to me. Yes, Vesha replied. I belong to you as a guardian, not a cleaner. Jake blinked. Wait, you're telling me you can fight, protect, maybe even kill, but you won't touch a broom? Vesha nodded. That is correct. Jake threw up his hands. Great. The universe sends me a space warrior when all I needed was someone to wash dishes. He grabbed a rag and started cleaning himself, grumbling the whole time. Vesha didn't help. She just followed him quietly, watching everything with curious eyes. You really don't know how to clean, do you? He asked. No, she said, but I can teach you how to survive a plasma ambush, or how to break a bounty hunter's neck. Jake coughed. Wow. That's dark. Only when necessary, she said with a small smile. Later that afternoon, Jake went out to buy some supplies from the colony market. Vesha followed him without a word. As they walked through the dusty streets, people stared. No one had ever seen a creature like her before. She was tall, elegant, glowing softly. Her silver skin shimmered in the sun. Everyone's looking at us, Jake whispered. They feel your power, Vesha said. My power? He scoffed. I'm just a guy who signed the wrong contract. Exactly, she replied. And that mistake made you a target. Jake froze. What do you mean? There are many species in the galaxy, she said quietly. Some worship humans. Others want to destroy them. Most never meet one. But now, you are bonded. Jake swallowed hard. And they'll come for me. Vesha nodded slowly. Yes. Some will try to take me. Others will try to take you. And a few will try to take both. Jake sighed. I should have read the contract. That night, while Jake was making food, he noticed Vesha walking around his tiny room. She touched his books, looked at his old Earth posters, and stared at a picture of Jake with his mother. You miss her? She asked softly. Jake looked up. Yeah, she passed away 2 years ago. I came to Mars to escape everything. Vesha turned to him. Running from pain doesn't erase it. Thanks for the advice, warrior maid, he said with a weak smile. Vesha looked serious. I am not here just to fight. I also learn. Bonded ones grow together. Jake raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? She sat down in front of him. I will not clean. I will not cook. But I will protect, guide, and evolve with you. That is my purpose. Evolve? Jake asked. Vesha nodded. When a human bonds with a auxiliary warrior, changes happen. Slowly, your mind, your body, your soul, they begin to grow. Jake blinked. That sounds dangerous. It is, she said, but also powerful. He laughed nervously. So, I'm stuck with you. Forever. Until death, she replied. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered. Jake looked around. What's happening? Vesha stood quickly. They found us again. Who? She didn't answer. Instead, she placed her hand on the wall. A soft hum spread across the room. A glowing shield formed around them. Outside, footsteps, then a loud knock. Bang, bang, bang. Open up. This is colony security. A voice shouted. Jake stepped forward. It's just security, Vesha. Maybe they want to ask about you. She grabbed his arm. They are not security. Look at their boots. That's military grade. Earth doesn't give that to minors. Jake peeked out and gasped. She was right. The men wore strange armor, not colony uniforms. Back away, Vesha said. Suddenly, the wall exploded. Jake was thrown back. Dust filled the room. Through the smoke, he saw two large men in black armor storm in, aiming weapons at Vesha. Stand down, alien. Return the human and come quietly. Vesha didn't move. You will not take him. They fired. She moved like lightning. Jake watched in shock as Vesha spun, dodged, and knocked both attackers down in seconds. One slammed into the wall. The other's weapon flew from his hand. She placed her hand on Jake's chest. A warm pulse spread through him. Are you hurt? She asked. He shook his head. I think I'm okay. Vesha looked at the men. These are scouts. More will come. Jake stared at her. Why are they after me? Because I am bonded to you, she said. And with time, you will become stronger than them all. Jake sat on the floor, shaking. This is crazy. Vesha knelt beside him. This is only the beginning. Jake looked into her glowing purple eyes and knew. His life would never be normal again. Secrets of the alien contract. Jake couldn't sleep. Even after the attackers were gone and the walls repaired, his mind raced. He kept hearing the sound of weapons, the crash of walls breaking, and Vesha's calm voice saying, more will come. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at her. Vesha stood like a statue near the door, arms crossed, eyes closed, but Jake knew she wasn't really resting. He finally asked, Vesha, what is this bond, really? What kind of contract did I sign? Her eyes opened slowly. You are ready to know. Jake nodded. I need answers. I didn't sign up for war. I didn't ask to become some alien magnet. Vesha walked over and sat cross-legged in front of him. Then listen carefully. Because once you hear this, you can't unlearn it. Jake leaned in. Vesha held out her hand. A small crystal glowed on her palm. The room dimmed, and suddenly a hologram burst into the air. It showed thousands of stars, spinning in a spiral. Then, dots of light appeared, some red, some green, others glowing blue. This is the current galaxy map, Vesha explained. Each light is a known intelligent species. Over 7,000 exist, but only one species is considered sacred. She tapped the air. A small blue dot blinked. Humans, she said. Jake laughed. Sacred? Us? We barely made it off our own planet. Vesha gave him a sharp look. That is why. You advanced fast. Too fast. Other species took millions of years to discover fire. You reached space in less than 1,000. Jake blinked. So they admire us. No, Vesha said. They fear you. The hologram changed. It showed old footage, humans standing in front of alien ambassadors, holding weapons, tools, and blueprints. Long ago, your ancestors made contact with alien races. You don't know this history. It was erased, hidden by your own leaders to keep the world stable. Jake leaned forward, eyes wide. Are you saying Earth already met aliens before? Yes, Vesha said. And a deal was made, a secret one. The most powerful alien races agreed. Humans would not be harmed, but also not told the truth. Jake frowned. What does this have to do with me? The bond program, Vesha said, was created by a hidden council, a mix of humans and aliens. The contract you signed was never meant to go public. Jake stood up. So, it was a mistake. No, she replied. It was a test. And you were chosen. Jake began to pace. So let me get this straight. I signed a digital contract, and now I'm part of a galactic secret alliance. That's insane. Vesha stood. You are now part of something ancient and powerful. The bond you accepted. without reading, has connected us permanently. And not just us. Thousands of bonded pairs exist across the galaxy. You are now one of them. Jake turned to her. Why me? Vesha's voice softened. Because the system chose you. A lonely man, with no ties, no power, no voice, is now the holder of great power. Jake shook his head. But I don't feel powerful. I'm still just Jake. Vesha smiled. Not for long. Later that day, Vesha showed Jake the full contract, translated and simplified for human eyes. It was hundreds of pages, but one sentence stood out. Upon the signing of the bond, the chosen human shall receive protection, strength, and shared evolution from the assigned Xilari warrior. Shared evolution, Jake asked. What does that mean? Vesha touched his hand. You've already started changing. Can you feel it? Jake paused. His hearing had been sharper. He reacted faster to things. Even his strength felt a little stronger. You are becoming something new, Vesha said. Not alien, not Xilari, but something more. Later that night, Vesha taught Jake how to feel energy. She guided his hands in a pattern, made him breathe slowly, and suddenly, he felt it. A tiny spark, like warmth in his chest, pulsing softly. That is your bond core, Vesha whispered. It grows with time, with emotion, with battle. Jake stared at his glowing hands. This is unreal. Real, she corrected, but dangerous. Suddenly, the alarm on Jake's wall blared. Incoming, MESSAG. Colony Leadership approaching. Jake looked at Vesha. Now what? She narrowed her eyes. We're being called. The colony's main hall was massive, cold metal walls, bright lights, and rows of guards. Jake and Vesha stood in front of the colony leader, a tall man with white hair and sharp eyes. Jake Collins, he said. Step forward. Jake did, trying not to look scared. The man glanced at Vesha. You signed the wrong contract. I know, Jake said, but now I'm in it. We can cancel the bond, the leader said. You just need to agree. Jake looked at Vesha. She didn't say anything, but her hands tightened. What happens to her if I cancel it? Jake asked. She returns to the program, the leader said, or is destroyed. Some species don't allow broken bonds to continue. Jake stepped back. You'd kill her. The leader looked cold. She's a weapon, not a person. Jake shook his head. No, she's more than that. The leader frowned. You don't understand what you're playing with. There are enemies out there, dangerous forces who will hunt you down for that bond. Then let them come, Jake said quietly. We'll deal with them. The leader looked at him for a long time. Then he smiled slightly. So be it. Back at home, Vesha turned to Jake. You could have broken the bond, she said softly. You had the chance. Jake looked at her. I didn't ask for this, but I'm not letting anyone control my choices, and I won't let them hurt you. She stepped closer. You're beginning to sound like a Xilari. Jake laughed. Maybe I'm becoming something in between. She looked into his eyes. You are more than you know, Jake Collins, and the galaxy is about to find out. Attacked by the jealous ones. For a few days, life was quiet. Jake started to get used to Vesha's presence. She didn't eat, she didn't sleep, and she barely spoke unless she had to. But she was always there, watching, guarding, protecting. Jake's hearing had become sharper. He could hear small sounds from rooms away. He could see tiny details he had never noticed before. Even his reflexes had improved. Is this because of the bond? He asked one morning. Vesha nodded. Yes, your body is evolving. The bond core is growing stronger. Jake was still trying to accept that. A week ago, he was just a lonely miner. Now he had superhuman senses and a glowing alien warrior in his apartment. One evening, Jake received a strange message on his screen. No sender, just glowing red text. She was meant to serve us. You took her. Return her now, or face us. Jake frowned. Who sent this? Vesha looked at the message and her face darkened. The jealous ones. Jake tilted his head. Jealous. There are alien races who wait years, sometimes centuries, to bond with a Sulari warrior, she explained. I was one of the highest-ranked warriors in the bonding pool. Jake blinked. Wait, so you're like rare? Vesha nodded. Chosen by few. Desired by many. Jake looked back at the message. So someone out there is mad. Because I got you by accident. Yes, she said. And now, they are coming. That night, the sky above the colony turned dark. Not from clouds, but from a massive ship. The colony's alert systems went off. Red lights flashed everywhere. Sirens screamed. Jake stood on the roof with Vesha, staring at the giant dark ship floating above them like a shadow. That's not a colony ship, Jake said. No, Vesha replied. That is a Rakari war vessel. Jake had never heard the name before, but the way Vesha said it made his stomach twist. Should we run? He asked. There is no place to run, she said calmly, but we can prepare. The next hour was chaos. The colony leaders were shouting orders, trying to reach Earth Command, trying to negotiate. But the ship didn't respond. Then, something happened. A deep voice echoed through every speaker in the colony. Human Jake T-Olins. Deliver the warrior VESHAA to US. Or we will take her by force. People stared at Jake as he walked through the colony. Whispers followed him. Fear, anger. They blamed him. Jake and Vesha returned to their room. She began to form a plan. They will send champions, she said, one by one, to test you. Jake laughed nervously. I can't fight alien champions. You can, she said firmly. You are not the same man who signed that contract. Jake sat down, rubbing his face. Vesha, I'm scared. She looked at him, her glowing eyes softening. Fear is natural, but strength comes when you act despite it. He nodded slowly. Then teach me. And so she did. Over the next hours, Vesha trained Jake in hand-to-hand defense, energy control, and mental focus. His body responded fast, faster than even she expected. You are adapting quickly, she said, impressed. The bond favors you. Jake grinned. I always was a fast learner, when it didn't involve paperwork. Then, just before midnight, the first attacker arrived. He didn't use the door. He crashed through the wall. The alien was huge, almost 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and red stone-like skin. His eyes glowed white, and his voice was deep and cold. I am Grand Thor, first champion of the Rakari. I have come for what is mine. Jake stepped forward. She's not a thing. And she's not yours. Grand Thor growled. Then fight me, human. Vesha stepped in front of Jake. No, he is not ready. Jake gently touched her shoulder. Yes, I am. The fight was brutal. Grand Thor moved like a beast, fast and heavy. Jake dodged the first swing barely in time. The second punch hit him in the ribs and sent him flying. He coughed, but stood up again. Vesha's voice echoed in his mind. Feel the energy. Let the bond guide you. He focused. And then, something lit up inside him. Jake's hands began to glow faint blue, like Vesha's markings. His body felt lighter. His pain faded. The next time Grand Thor swung, Jake ducked, spun, and landed a punch straight into the alien's gut. The warrior roared and fell to his knees. Jake stood over him, breathing hard. Go tell your masters, I'm not giving her up. Grand Thor vanished in a flash of light. Jake collapsed to the floor, panting. I did it. Vesha smiled. You survived your first challenge. But more are coming. Jake groaned. Of course they are. Over the next 2 days, more attackers came. One was a psychic who tried to invade Jake's mind. Another used shadow portals to teleport behind him. A third fired poison darts from invisible drones. Each time, Jake grew stronger, smarter, faster. Each time, Vesha was there to guide him, but never to fight for him. "You must stand as my equal," she said, "not as my shadow." After the fifth challenger, Jake sat on the roof, watching the stars. His body ached, but his heart felt alive. "This is more than survival now," he said. Vesha nodded beside him. "This is transformation." Jake looked at her. "Why do they want you so badly?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Because I carry ancient knowledge. I was trained in the hidden arts of the first Sci. If bonded with the wrong human, I could become a weapon of destruction." Jake looked at her in shock. "And with me?" She smiled softly. "With you, I could become a force of balance." Just then, the sky above the colony flashed again. Another ship was arriving, but this one was different. It was human. Jake stood up slowly. "Is that Earth Command?" Vesha's eyes narrowed. "No, that is not Earth Command. That ship is from the Black Division." Jake looked confused. "What's the Black Division?" Vesha stood tall. "The part of your government that doesn't answer to anyone. And they don't want to protect you. They want to take the bond from you." Jake's eyes widened. "Can they do that?" "Not unless you die," she whispered. And with that, the next danger arrived, not from aliens, but from Jake's own kind. The bond deepens. Jake didn't trust the ship in the sky. It hovered above the colony like a steel hawk, black and silent. No name, no signal, but Vesha knew who they were. "The Black Division," she whispered. "Your own people, but they are not here to help." Jake had always believed Earth was far away, slow, bureaucratic. He never imagined a secret group like this even existed, hidden from the public, more dangerous than alien armies. "What do they want?" Jake asked. Vesha's voice was calm but cold. "They want me, but more importantly, they want you." Jake frowned. "Why me?" "Because you survived the bond. You fought alien champions. You are changing. They want to control you or destroy you." That night, Jake had another dream. But this time, it didn't feel like a dream. He stood in a white void. No floor, no sky, just endless space. Vesha appeared beside him. But she looked different, glowing brighter, her hair longer, her armor covered in symbols he couldn't read. "What is this?" Jake asked. "A memory," she said softly, "shared through the bond." She raised her hand, and suddenly he saw thousands of stars, then battles, warriors, creatures from other worlds. Then he saw himself, but older, stronger, leading others into battle. Jake stepped back. "That's not me." "It is one possible future," Vesha said. "The bond doesn't just make you stronger, it shows you who you could become." Jake woke up sweating. His hands were glowing faint blue again. And this time, something new appeared, a symbol on his wrist, glowing like fire. He called out, "Vesha." She entered the room quickly and saw the mark. Her eyes widened. "It started," she whispered. "What has?" Jake asked. "The third phase of the bond," she said. "Mental and spiritual merging. You are not just gaining power now. You are connecting to the Cellari mind stream." Jake blinked. "What's that?" "It's like a hidden river of memory," Vesha said. "Every Cellari warrior is connected to it, but only when fully bonded. You're starting to access it." Jake sat down. "I'm becoming part alien, aren't I?" She didn't answer. Later that day, a message came. From the Black Division. It wasn't a threat. It was polite. "Mr. Collins, we request a conversation. We only wish to ensure your safety and the safety of the colony. Meet us at Landing Bay 9 at 800 hours. Come alone." Jake showed it to Vesha. "I'm not going alone," he said. "No," she agreed, "but we will make them think you are." At sunrise, Jake walked to Landing Bay 9. Alone, as requested. Inside, 5 people waited. 3 men in black armor, 1 woman in a lab coat, and 1 older man in a gray suit. His eyes were sharp, cold. "Mr. Collins," the man said. "I'm Agent Ryle. Thank you for coming." Jake looked around. "Where's your army?" "We don't need one," Ryle replied with a small smile. "You're still one man." Jake crossed his arms. "You're not here to talk. You're here to take Vesha." Ryle didn't deny it. "She is an alien weapon. You are a civilian. You are not trained to control this kind of power." "I didn't choose this," Jake said. "But you're holding it," Ryle replied. "And that makes you dangerous." Jake glanced at the ceiling. "You know what I think is dangerous? People who smile while planning to steal someone's soul." The lab coat woman spoke. "The bond is still in its early stage. If you surrender her now, we might reverse it without too much damage to your nervous system." Jake blinked. "Nervous system?" Ryle took a step closer. "Or, we can remove you completely." That's when Vesha appeared, teleporting straight into the room. Blue light flashed. The agents reached for weapons. But she didn't attack. She simply stood beside Jake. "He is under my protection," she said coldly. "Harm him, and you will not leave this colony." Ryle raised an eyebrow. "Very well. But this isn't over." As Jake and Vesha walked away, Jake asked, "Why didn't we fight them?" "Because they are not the enemy," she said. "Not yet. They are afraid. But when fear grows, it turns into something worse." Jake looked at her. "You're afraid too, aren't you?" Vesha hesitated, then nodded. "Of what?" he asked. She looked at the mark glowing on his wrist. "Of how powerful you could become, and what it might cost." That night, Jake trained harder. Vesha pushed him further, teaching him how to project energy, how to sense thoughts nearby, and how to resist mental invasion. But during a break, Jake asked, "Why are you really bonded to me? Was it truly random?" Vesha didn't answer right away. Then she said, "No, it was not random." Jake stared. "What do you mean?" "I saw your profile in the system," she admitted. "I was drawn to something inside you, something quiet, but powerful." "You chose me?" he asked, shocked. "I nudged the selection process," she said, "not to trick you, but because I believed in you." Jake didn't know what to say. Later, when he was alone, Jake looked into the mirror. The symbol on his wrist glowed brighter. His eyes were changing, just a little. A ring of faint silver surrounded his irises. He barely recognized himself. Then he whispered, "What am I becoming?" Outside, Vesha watched the stars. She could feel his bond core growing stronger, brighter, wilder. It thrilled her and terrified her. Because soon, Jake would be more powerful than any human had ever been. And when that happened, he would have to make a choice. Become a hero, or something else entirely. Betrayal and truth. Jake didn't know who to trust anymore. The Black Division had backed off for now, but their ship still hovered above the colony. Silent. Watching. Waiting. The alien challengers had stopped coming too. No new threats, no warnings. Just silence. And that silence made Jake uneasy. "I don't like this," he said. Vesha stood beside him on the balcony of their small unit. Her glowing eyes scanned the sky. The quiet before a storm is always the loudest in the mind. Jake gave her a sideways look. "You always speak like that." She smirked slightly. "Only when I'm nervous." Jake stared at her. "Wait, you're nervous?" "Yes," she admitted. "Something is coming. I can feel it in the bond." The next morning, Jake received a message. Not from the Black Division. Not from aliens. But from someone he never expected. Dr. Amelia Ray. She was an old friend from Earth. A scientist. One of the few people Jake actually trusted before he left the planet. They hadn't spoken in years. Her message was short. Jake, we need to talk. I'm on Mars. Meet me at Dock 7. Come alone. Jake's heart raced. Amelia, he whispered. He showed the message to Vesha. She's from your past, Vesha said, eyes narrowing. Yeah, she was kind to me. Helped me get off Earth when I had nothing. Vesha's voice was flat. Then why is she working with the Black Division? Jake froze. What? Vesha tapped into the colony system and projected an image into the air. It was a security feed. Amelia walking out of the Black Division ship 2 days ago. Jake's chest tightened. No, that can't be right. Vesha looked at him. People change, Jake. Jake whispered, or maybe they were never who I thought they were. Still, Jake went to the meeting. He didn't tell Vesha everything, but she followed him anyway, hidden in the shadows, watching from afar. At Dock 7, Amelia waited near an old cargo crate. She looked just like he remembered, slim, with short brown hair and sharp eyes behind glasses. When she saw Jake, she smiled. You look different. You too, Jake said carefully. They sat down on a metal bench. I heard what happened, Amelia said. You bonded with Auxiliary. That's impossible, or at least it was supposed to be. Jake narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Amelia leaned closer. Jake, the bond program wasn't meant for humans. It was meant for control. Jake frowned. Control of what? Of alien warriors, she said quietly. The Black Division created the bond contract as a trap. They'd wanted humans to sign, yes, but only selected ones. Agents, soldiers, not random civilians. Jake's stomach sank. So I wasn't supposed to sign it. No, Amelia said, but you did. And now, you're changing faster than anyone expected. Jake looked away. Why are you telling me this? Amelia hesitated. Because I care about you, and because something worse is coming. Jake looked back at her. Worse than aliens, worse than Black Division. She nodded. Yes, much worse. Then she handed him a small device. What is this? He asked. A memory drive, she said. It contains the original design files of the bond program, the real purpose, the first subjects, the failed experiments. Jake turned it over. Failed experiments. Amelia looked pained. Jake, you weren't the first. There were others, but their bonds went wrong. Some died. Some lost their minds. Some became monsters. Jake stood up. Why didn't anyone tell me this? Because you weren't supposed to survive, she said softly. That's when Jake noticed something strange. A red blinking light on her collar. A tracker. You're not here alone, are you? Jake asked. Amelia stood slowly. I didn't have a choice. They're watching everything. But I had to warn you. Jake stepped back. No, you lured me here. Suddenly, gunshots rang out. Black Division soldiers burst from the shadows. But Vesha was already moving. She dropped from above, kicking one soldier across the landing pad. Another tried to shoot her, but she deflected the blast with a flash of her energy shield. Jake ducked behind cover, pulling Amelia with him. You betrayed me, he said, voice shaking. I had no choice, she shouted. They said they'd kill me if I didn't bring you here. Jake looked her in the eyes. You could have told me the truth. Then he ran to help Vesha. Together, they fought off the soldiers. Jake's powers had grown. He moved with speed and strength that shocked even him. His punches glowed. His senses felt hyper-aware. He could feel Vesha's presence beside him like a second heartbeat. Together, they were unstoppable. But the battle took its toll. As they escaped back into the colony, Vesha limped slightly. Blood, dark and shimmering, dripped from her arm. Jake helped her sit. You're hurt. I'll heal, she said through gritted teeth. He looked at her seriously. Vesha. She gave me this. He held up the memory drive. I want to know everything. Jake said. No more secrets. Not from you. Not from anyone. Back at their room, Vesha connected the drive to a hologram panel. The room darkened. A voice spoke. Bo and program. Project origin ILs. Images flickered. Alien warriors in cages. Human scientists in black uniforms. Experiments. Screams. Symbols glowing too bright. Subject 01. Brain failed to stabilize. Deceased. Subject 07. Bond corrupted. Turned hostile. Terminated. Subject 11. No signs of mental activity. Lifeless body with Bond still active. Jake stared in horror. They were trying to make human-controlled alien weapons. Vesha nodded. And I was one of the first test warriors. But I escaped before they could bond me. Jake looked at her. Then why did you return to the system? Because I saw your profile, she whispered. You were kind, quiet, smart, alone. I thought, maybe this time, the bond could be something more. Jake felt his throat tighten. You trusted me, even after what they did to you. Vesha looked into his eyes. And now, I trust you more than anyone in the galaxy. Silence filled the room. Then Jake said, I'm done running. Vesha nodded. Good, because soon you will have to choose. Choose what? She stepped closer. Whether you want to become the galaxy's protector or its most dangerous weapon. One human vis the galaxy. The galaxy held its breath. Jake Collins, once a lonely miner, was now a name whispered across worlds. A human who survived the forbidden bond. A man bonded with a Silari warrior. And now, a threat to both alien empires and Earth's darkest secrets. Inside their small room on Mars, Jake stood facing a mirror. His reflection looked different. He was stronger, taller. His eyes glowed faint silver now, and strange markings had begun to spread across his arms, just like Vesha's. But it wasn't just his body. Something inside had changed. He wasn't just Jake anymore. He was something new. Vesha stood at the window, silent. The sky above the colony was filled with ships. Earth's Black Division had sent a full assault fleet. They wanted the bond. They wanted Vesha. They wanted Jake, dead or controlled. And behind those ships came something worse. A Rakari dreadnought. The same alien empire that had sent warriors to challenge Jake before now brought its final weapon. A creature known only as the Collector. Vesha, Jake said. Why are they teaming up? Earth and the aliens? They hate each other. Vesha's voice was heavy. Because now, they fear you more than they fear each other. An emergency broadcast rang across every screen in the colony. To Jake Collins, you have 24 hours to surrender the alien. If you refuse, we will treat you as a planetary threat. No one will be spared. Jake clenched his fists. The colony leaders, once silent, now begged him to surrender. But Jake had made his choice. I'm not giving her up, he said. Not now. Not ever. Vesha turned to him, emotion in her voice. Then we fight. Jake looked into her glowing eyes. Together. As the fleet prepared to descend, Jake and Vesha took a risk. They traveled to the ancient core, a forgotten alien structure buried deep beneath Mars. There, Vesha revealed the last secret. This is where the first bond was made, she whispered. The walls glowed with blue light, showing carvings of ancient humans and aliens standing side by side. Jake stared in awe. We've been here before. Vesha nodded. A long time ago. The truth is, your kind helped create the bond technology. It's not alien. It's half-human. Jake stepped forward. The energy in the room pulsed around him. Then the core spoke, in both of their minds. Jake Collins. Bond complete. Ascension begins. Suddenly, pain hit him. But it wasn't pain like before. It was like being filled with fire and light at the same time. His thoughts became clearer. His senses exploded. He could hear sounds from miles away. He could feel life forms moving on the surface above. And then he saw it. The Collector. A creature made of black mist and ancient metal. It was already descending, heading straight for them. Back on the surface, chaos erupted. The Rakari unleashed their forces. Beasts, drones, assassins. The Black Division landed troops across the colony. But both sides were surprised when they started turning on each other. It was war. Caught in the middle were innocent colonists, families, workers, children. Jake and Vesha emerged from the core, surrounded by light. The people saw him and didn't run. They bowed. Some whispered, "The bonded one." Others cried out, "He's the protector." Jake raised his hand. "I didn't come to rule. I came to stand." And he stepped into battle. The first wave hit fast. Rakari beasts charging at him like thunder. Jake didn't flinch. He moved like lightning, his bond energy wrapping around his arms. His punches sent shockwaves. His mind linked with Vesha's, allowing them to fight as one. Laser blasts, explosions, screams. But Jake didn't stop. He saw a soldier aiming at a child and moved before the trigger pulled. He deflected plasma bolts with energy shields he didn't even know he could make. Vesha fought beside him, fierce and graceful. But even she looked amazed. "You've become more than bonded," she said. "You're evolving into something new." Then, everything froze. A shadow fell over the battlefield. The Collector had arrived. The massive creature hovered above them. Black tendrils stretched from its form. Its voice echoed across the air like thunder. "You AAV Wewek hate you is not belong to you. Return the warrior. Return the power. Or BERA's eat." Jake stepped forward. "Come and try." The final battle began. The Collector's power was unreal. It could bend light, twist space. It knocked Jake through buildings. It attacked Vesha with psychic waves. But Jake didn't fall. He stood again and again. He reached deep into the bond core and unlocked something final. Unity. His energy merged with Vesha's completely. The blue light exploded around them. The battlefield lit up. The Collector shrieked, "This is forbidden." Jake's voice echoed like thunder. "Then I'll rewrite the rules." With one final blow, charged by both his strength and hers, they shattered the Collector's core. It screamed and exploded into nothing but fading light. The enemy fleets fled. The colony was saved. The war was over. Hours later, as the sun rose, Jake and Vesha stood on a quiet hill. They watched the sky clear. The colony had changed. People no longer looked at him with fear, but with respect. The Black Division, gone. Their ship vanished during the chaos. But Jake knew they'd be back someday. "What happens now?" Jake asked. Vesha stepped closer. "The galaxy knows your name now. Some will want peace. Others will want revenge." Jake looked at her. "And us." She smiled gently. "We are bonded. Until death." Jake took her hand. "Then let's make sure that's a long, long time from now." They stood in silence, watching the sun rise over the red Martian sand. Two warriors, one bond, and a galaxy forever changed.